I want to talk to you today about something that could be very uncomfortable for some people. And I dare to go there now because I'm seeing a theme running through the counseling and coaching sessions that I've been facilitating lately. And what I'm finding is that there's a secret language of suffering. And that secret language has two words: guilt and shame. What am I talking about? I'm talking about those that come to me sharing that they feel either guilty or ashamed about a relationship they have with either a parent or their child or a friend, where they feel overwhelmed because that parent, child, or friend is either addicted, has mental issues, abusive, has been neglectful, has been using them, manipulating, secrets, lies, trauma, toxic. And this person is feeling like, I don't know what to do. I feel overwhelmed. And they don't want to talk about it because they feel ashamed. There's a stigma. I don't want anybody to know that my family is broken or that my relationship with my parent is broken. I don't want anybody to know, so they carry a lot of shame, or they carry a lot of guilt because they feel bad that they don't want to spend time with them, or they feel guilty because they don't have the emotional, mental, or financial capacity to cope with it. Maybe they're not educated enough to know what to do, or they've been so hurt and so broken that they have emotionally distanced themselves, and they have this inner conflict because they know they want to be with that person. They love that person, but they don't like that person's particular personality or lifestyle or choices they've made, or the fact that that person is dealing with some type of illness that they are not equipped to handle. And what I'm finding is a lot of people are seeking therapy and counseling and guidance because the people they have to deal with will not get any help, will not seek help, will not seek guidance or counseling. And so people end up calling me saying, Jewel, what do I do? Because I feel so bad that I don't know what to do, or I feel so bad that I'm having these feelings of resentment, these feelings of I don't want to talk to that person, or these feelings of being overwhelmed because I don't know what to do, and my life is on hold and I'm being drained, but yet I feel like I have an obligation. And now this person is realizing they're running on empty. And they have the language of suffering that says, I feel guilty or I feel ashamed. This is happening a lot. And what we want to understand is that most of the time when you are dealing with someone that is toxic, someone who is narcissistic, someone who is addicted, someone who is mentally challenged, you'll find that it didn't start with them. It didn't start with you. That it's generational. And that we need the tools to learn how to deal with it, to navigate it, and to keep our sanity, to keep our joy, and to learn how to have some self-preservation without feeling guilty or feeling ashamed. I know as I grew, as I evolved as a woman, from a child to a woman, from a child to becoming a wife and a mother, I began to look back and reflect, and I saw that in my family, I had created this fantasy of a relationship that I thought I had with my mother. But as I grew older and as I reflected and after she passed, I realized that it really wasn't the relationship that I thought we had. I realized that my mother was depressed. I realized that my mother did not know how to cope with the issues in her marriage and with her mother and her mother's mother, that my mother didn't have spas and retreats and books and Oprah, and she didn't have YouTube. She didn't have a Jewel Diamond Taylor. She didn't have the tools and resources that you and I have now to work through and process our grief, our depression, our resentment, our anxiety, feeling burned out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling put on, and feeling like I'm doing this all by myself, or feeling like I want to know what to do, but I don't know how to do it, or feeling like I don't want to ask for help, even though I need help. So there are many different dimensions to this, and as I'm working with women, and I'm working with a few couples, I'm seeing this running pattern where people are saying, well, Jewel, I wanted coaching and counseling, but then they realize after we talk that there's more to it. That the reason they are stumbling, the reason they are suffocating, the reason they are suffering, the reason they're feeling like they're not making any progress, the reason they're feeling drained and tired is because of toxic relationships. And so I'm so glad that so many are overcoming the taboo and the stigma, overcoming the shame and reaching out and saying, I need help. Because what we find is that the people who are asking for help is because the people they're dealing with are not asking for help or not seeking help, or they don't know that they need help. There's many different issues on the spectrum of this, of feeling helpless, feeling resentful. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but right now I need you to know it didn't start with you. I need you to know right now there's no need to feel ashamed. You are not alone. Right now, within 6 degrees of separation in your own family and circle of friends, there are people dealing with these issues. There are people dealing with family members, spouses, children that have addictions, have mental issues, that are depressed, that are going through helplessness, that have anger issues. There are people right now dealing with all of these things, and it's been exacerbated because of the pandemic. It's coming to the surface, and people are seeing what's happening, and they're seeing it in their families, they're seeing it in themselves, and they're needing help. So again, I don't know who needs to hear this, but do not feel guilty that you've created some boundaries. Do not feel guilty that you feel ill-equipped. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to handle it. Do not feel guilty that you are distancing yourself because you feel overwhelmed, you feel used, you feel abused. You're experiencing someone who is an abuser, or someone who is always acting like a victim, or someone who holds secrets, or someone who has an illness that you don't know what to do to help them to get better. I say to you, please seek help. Please know that it serves you no good to feel guilty and ashamed. You are not alone. This is very, very common. And I know I usually like to come with feel-good messages and motivation, inspiration, but I have learned that one of the many hats that I have to wear is beyond being a motivational, inspirational speaker, beyond being an author, beyond being the founder of Women on the Grow, that my client base for people needing help with their emotional wellness, learning how to navigate their relationships, it has really grown. It has increased. And what we find out is that usually in our childhood, we step unconsciously into certain roles. Either we're the fixer, or we're the high achiever, or we're the worrier, or we're the sick one, or we're the rebel, or we are the funny one. We're the bossy one, the leader. There's so many different roles we step into, and we don't even realize that it's time to say, I resign from that role. And I don't want the pressure of having the role of being the fixer. I don't want to have the role any longer of feeling ashamed, or I don't want to have the role anymore of always being the smart one. I don't know everything. I don't know how to do everything, and I'm asking for help. I'm realizing that this thing called relationships has a lot of mystery to it. And people have brokenness. People have been used. People have been hurt. People have been betrayed. People have been neglected. And we can't normalize it like we've done in the past. We can't minimize it. We can't have tunnel vision and blind spots. We need to say, it's time to tell the truth. It's time to deal with those issues that are draining you, those issues that are causing you to have sleepless nights, those issues that are draining you financially, those issues that are creating strife in the family. There's so much going on, and I come to you as a resource. If you need some talk therapy to work through some issues, if you need some counseling and guidance, that is what I know I was born to do. And I'm here to help you. I can relate more than you know. I can relate when it comes to feeling like I don't know what to do. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. I don't want to do this anymore. I know what it's like when you say, why does everybody keep coming to me? Or why does this keep happening in our family? Or how did this happen? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that are unspeakable and unthinkable that happens to people, and they suffer, and they create this sense of victimization. They create this sense of helplessness and hopelessness. They cope by having addictions. They cope by shutting down. There's just so many different ways that people cope with drama and stress and poverty and racism, and having parents that are not present, or parents that are emotional or toxic or selfish or manipulative or narcissistic. I tell you, I've heard so many stories, and the stories that I've heard have educated me. I love the fact that people trust me because I'm learning too. And I'm hearing amazing stories of women and men that are recovering. And I see myself as a spiritual or emotional ophthalmologist. An ophthalmologist is someone you go to help you with your vision so you can see better. Well, when you come to Jewel Diamond Taylor, the Self-Esteem Doctor, it is my hope and my intention and my style to help you begin to see things from a different perspective so that you are not walking around with grief, guilt, shame, and anger. Those are what I call emotional thugs. They will beat you up. Grief, anger, shame, and guilt. They will steal your joy, and it's time for you to learn that you can create a new day, a new way of navigating those relationships. It's time for you to learn what your limitations are. It's time for you to learn how much emotional capacity you have, how much financial capacity you have to deal with people that are going through changes and going through some circumstances that are out of your control. It's time to learn when it's time to release and to trust God, when it's time to ask for help from professionals, when it's time to step back and say, I'm worthy of being treated better, when it's time to say, wait a minute, it's not my fault. I'm not alone. I should not feel guilty because I'm feeling the way I feel. If you have been neglected, if you've been hurt, if you've been stomped on, if you have been abused and lived in a very toxic environment, and you're now feeling angry and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling scared, those are real emotions to a situation that is not natural. And so I'm here to serve you. Why don't you give me a call or email me? All the information is on the screen. I look forward to hearing from you. I have been facilitating for years one-on-one counseling. It's always been one of the many hats that I wear, so it's nothing new. And over 35 years, I have gained so much insight into human behavior. That's my wheelhouse. Blending what I have learned through psychology studies and spiritual studies, how we can unravel the mystery of our lives. We may not come to know all of the answers, but we certainly can get a little bit more clarity. We can gain a little bit more peace. And you can do it. I promise you. You don't have to be a people pleaser. You don't have to be walking on eggshells. You don't have to crucify yourself because you feel like you feel short and you did not take care of your loved one the best way that you possibly could. We're all learning, so let's learn together. God bless you, and thank you so much for sharing this video. Thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you for your prayers and your support. Be blessed and stay in the light.